All right, hello everybody, and welcome to this unique chat with Phil from Merlins. Hope you enjoyed the first video that we put out. Remember, there's the quiz. Get your answers in before 6 p.m. But we thought we would celebrate the fact that it is 25 years since Merlins began with a chat with one of the founders, Phil Peters, and I'm going to just ask him a whole bunch of questions and just listen to what he's got to say. It should have obviously been a celebration of the 25 years today, Phil. We would have been having a real life convention last Sunday, actually. We've taken the convention virtually. Can you tell us a bit more about what's coming up today?
Yes, Darren, it's a shame that it couldn't happen, but obviously there's lots of strange things going on at the moment. So we've got together a lot of us friends in Magic, a lot of people that have helped us out over previous conventions, because we didn't really want the 25 years to go without actually doing something. So we've got quite a few things. We've got a talk on Houdini. We've got some stage magic tips for people. There's a juggling section. We've also got 10 in 2s, which we did a few years ago, which is 10 things you didn't know about people in 2 minutes, famous magicians. And I think you're on there, Darren, to be honest. So we've got that on.
Started early. You've started early.
Yeah, it's started early. So we've got Alicadabra as well, doing a few effects in character. It's a very, very good character magician. Lots of other things, lots of other surprises. And we've also got a little tribute to Kim Bryan, who sadly passed away through the coronavirus, a friend of ours. His family's got a lot of people that have done magic tricks and posted on the internet. So we've got a few of those throughout the day, which are quite entertaining. Lots of nice little bits and pieces from people, from his friends and from magicians. And just trying to sort of celebrate the fact that we are sort of 25 years old.
Yeah. And by the way, if you haven't seen the BBC video that they did on the BBC Breakfast, check that out. I know it's on the Merlins page and various other people's pages as well. Have a look at that, everyone, because it's a real fantastic tribute. Eloise is great on there. There's a little appearance from Mark and one from Shaz as well. I messaged Mark today and said Sharon's done one magic trick and she's got straight on the telly with it. It's not a bad.
25 years and we've got no Sharon.
That's it. Sharon, one trick and she's on. So yeah, it sounds like there's lots of good stuff coming up today. So check out the Merlins Facebook page as we go on throughout the day. We'll be releasing different videos as we go along, and obviously you've got until 6 o'clock to get in your quiz answers. But let's get on to the topic of this talk then Phil, and it's about you and Mark and Merlins and where we are now. But I want to go back right to the start, how it all began. Before Merlins was even an idea, tell me about how you and Mark met.
Yeah. Well, I was always interested in magic from a younger age, but I never really got into it. I left school, went to college and became an accountant. I mean, I know it's hard to believe when I have such an interesting personality, but I did become an accountant. But I always had this little urge to do magic, and I didn't really know what to do in those days. I bought a few things online and stuff. Not online, sorry, but mail order from the Supreme Magic Company, which is no longer here, but everybody used to use the Supreme Magic Company. And I saw an advert in a local paper one day. If you're interested in magic, give this number a ring. And it was a secretary of the Barnsley Magical Society. And basically, I went along, did an audition, and I joined the Barnsley Magical Society Magic Club, and that's where I met Mark. So that's how I actually got in sort of touch with him at that point. That was about 1992.
Yeah. So I'm right in thinking that Mark had started a bit of a mail order business type thing. He had something going very out of a bedroom in his house or something like that, and then
I think he dabbled a little bit with some bits and pieces, because there was actually a wholesaler in Leeds that actually did magic, and it was very unusual because it was pre-internet days. So I think he had a few little bits of that. Plus, he was very, very sort of clever at making things.
Yeah,
he would make things as well, and he would sell. But it was mainly just to people in the magic club that he was doing this stuff. So I think he called himself Merlins Magic.
Right.
And that's basically what he had, that little sort of idea.
So how do you get involved then?
Well, I think it's a mixture of circumstances, really, because like I say, I was an accountant, had a decent sort of job. I was all right doing it, but it wasn't what I wanted to do, really. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Mark worked at Pound Stretcher in Barnsley. So not the greatest of jobs, but it was a job. And I think he was only in his 20s then, so he was only youngish.
20s as well, wasn't he, at that time?
Yeah, he was only young then. So, and what happened was he got made redundant. So at that time, I think the government were offering schemes to try. I think the unemployment was quite sort of on the up and up, and they were trying to encourage people to set up their own businesses and start their own businesses. So we come up with this idea that we would try this for like 12 months.
Right.
So it got because basically it was a 12-month scheme that he was on. So basically, I think it paid him a little bit more than the unemployment benefit, but it also gave him. He went on a course to the college once a week in like a business studies type course.
Right.
And I just carried on working in my sort of job as I was. But we got a little unit in the market hall in Wakefield, the old market hall upstairs. They had like a little speciality units and the balcony upstairs. Only like 6 foot by 6 foot units.
Yeah.
So there was like a lady that sold wool. There was a woman that did decoupage. There was a guy that did coins and medals. There was somebody that did old records and stuff. Another woman that did sewing and stuff. And there was a unit empty. So we took this little unit. And that's basically where we started. We started Merlins at Wakefield.
Yeah, I remember. I was there in that first ever market unit, and then obviously it expanded to a double market unit. Did it? That was its first expansion.
It did, and then a treble because the other units closed down and they moved away. We took them over, and I think we ended up with three of the units at one time.
Right.
And if memory serves me, I think I can remember. I can remember you coming in when you was younger. Yeah. I think that's the last time you bought anything. I think that. Yeah, I think they
that's
just.
That's two now. I was trying to keep this. I'm trying to keep this nice.
Keep a score.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just waiting for you to get to.
I'll get going. Don't worry. I will get going at some point. Yeah. So we want this to be the real scoop. Then we want to find out stuff. So how much rent were you paying then in the early
rent? Days? It was 10 for the first unit was £10 a week.
£10 a week.
That included everything, which at the time wasn't. It doesn't sound a lot, but. I can remember when we first started. Yeah, me and Mark used to have like a little book because Wednesdays the market was closed, so Mark didn't work Wednesday. I think he had another day off for his course.
Right.
So we only opened actually 5 days.
Right.
Sorry, 4 days a week. And he had this little book of what we took each day. And I can remember if we took over £10 in a day, it was like woo! It was like we put the flags out and rung the bell sort of thing.
Okay. So knowing what I know about Mark, I'm sure he were conscious, or he would probably be pushing magic, because that's what he is. I don't know anyone who knows or thinks as much about magic as he does. But Merlin's still to this day, but certainly in its early days as well, we've got jokes and bits of fancy dress and stuff coming into play. Is that one of your additions then to try and obviously it's almost impossible to exist as a complete bricks and mortar magic shop. So are you bringing in different aspects of the business there?
Partially, but I think it was the demand really, because we did try to start as just a magic shop. The magic shops, even though in those days were very few and far between, there weren't a lot of them. And I think when people came in, first thing they came in and said, "Oh, it's a joke shop," even though it's Merlin's Magic across the door. Have you got any stink bombs? Do you have any fart whistles? Have you got this? Have you got, and all the jokey bits? And then people come in wanting bits of fancy dress. So we sourced it. Well, from the left that we used the same supply that Mark had used in Leeds because they supplied magic and fancy dress and novelties and things.
Yeah.
So we did it as a supplying the demand really. We never sort of consciously thought, oh, we must sell this, must sell that. But eventually it took over probably 15-20% of the business. So magic was like 80%, the jokes and the fancy dress was 20%. And it really came to fruition when we got to Halloween, because Halloween we would take 10 times as much in October for like costumes and things and accessories than we did for magic. So one little time a year, and also New Year was quite busy.
Yeah,
those 1 or 2 times made up for the rest of the year when it was fairly quiet.
Yeah, and staying back there before we start moving towards the present day. So we're in 1995 now, and you and Mark were both performing quite a lot then. And I remember we had a party when I did something on the telly when I was a young kid, and you guys came and performed at that. You did loads of other lot more gigs then than you do now, than you both do now. So what was that? What were you doing, and were you doing? Was it close up? Were you doing parties, all sorts, or?
Yeah, like I said, we started initially, like before we even started with the shop, we used to mess about. So after we'd done the met at the Magic Club, we'd go for a drink and we'd have various ideas of this, that, and the other. And we really just wanted to get on the magic scene, really. So I can always remember Mac's mum used to work for Gala Bingo, and one of the first things we ever did, they had in those days, before it was all, like I said, the internet, they used to do talent competitions. We entered a talent competition once, and basically, I think midweek it was very quiet. So we went to like clubs midweek, and they got all clubs from all around the areas to go to the one club and they'd have like a talent show.
Right.
So that club would be full for the night, sort of, basically. Yeah. I can always remember we went to this one, and there was about 8 acts, so we were the last act on. So they did all these acts, and to be fair, they were pretty rubbish, the other acts. They were all singing on, they were dancing. I remember when there was a dwarf playing the piano, and he had this piano was like adapted so that he could touch the pedals. I thought it was really funny. That wasn't meant to be funny, but it was funny. But anyway, we got to the end of it, and they were giving out the award, and we thought, we've done really well. We saw somebody in half from the audience, and we told a few jokes, did a few gags, and we thought we went down really well because it got a really good response from the audience.
Yeah.
So they came third prize. Wasn't second prize, wasn't there? First prize, dwarf and the piano one. So we didn't get anywhere. And then as we were sort of leaving and packing up, one of the judges came over and he says, do you do all these shows regularly and things like that? And I says, well, no, it's first competition we entered there. And he said, what do you mean competition? I said, so we entered the competition. I said, I thought you were the act at the end that was like performing while they were doing the judging.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't even vote for you, so we didn't even get a vote. But the guy was an agent.
Right, okay.
So we got some bookings out of it, actually.
Right, oh well.
Yeah, so we did that. So we did like a double act for quite a few years. Parties and clubs and weddings.
On stage then, yeah?
The stage thing, yeah. We did like a stage thing. Mark Lee and Co. used to be called.
Really?
Pre your time, Darren, actually.
Yeah.
But it became harder and harder because as the business of the selling magic, Merlins Wakefield took off, it was harder and harder to fit in all these things because a lot of the things we were doing were like, in those days there were lots of dealer dens, there were lots of conventions on a weekend.
Yeah.
So on a Saturday and Sunday, we'd be open at the shop, and the Saturday would be open, Sunday we'd be going to the conventions. So and that's when people wanted your bookings. And I think, as you know, being a professional magician yourself, you've got to keep working. You can't not work for 2 or 3 weeks. But now it must be really dreadful for people because people haven't worked for 5 or 6 weeks, and working. I always have the philosophy that when you're working, you're actually rehearsing.
Yeah.
So I think you're rehearsing, and you learn something from every show, and you get better, and you're always learning. No matter how long you do it, you're always learning. But if you do 5 or 6 weeks without doing anything, it's like you're going back to the beginning again.
Oh, absolutely. I've been doing a couple of bits online, and I feel rusty. I've made myself a point that I'm going to get the stuff out and just keep working it. To a dead wall, just to keep routines going through my mind. Yeah,
you do, but it's not the same, is it? You can do it.
It's the same.
It's not when you're getting that reaction from the audience. You don't get the same feelings.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm getting to the point where I'm forgetting some of the mechanics of the routines, which is what you can use in your sleep, so you can focus on the reactions of the people in the room and stuff. Listen, I want to keep moving on because we want this to be 20-25 minutes or so. Let's start to bring things forward. Merlins has been in 3 shops. That's right, isn't it? It's had 3. Hardcore shops, not including the market stores. Each one's got bigger and more expansive and stuff like that. Yeah. So obviously that's a representation of the business growing. What do you think makes that happen? Obviously you've grown a business that started in one of Mark's back rooms, and you've got involved. And you've gone to market stall and bigger market stall, and now you trade all over the world, and you're one of the few bricks and mortar shops left. Tell us a little bit about what that entails, keeping the business growing and growing as it has.
Well, I think going back to the early days, we moved out of the market basically because it was restricted hours, so it wasn't only open certain hours, and also we had we couldn't get access at certain times when we might have needed it. So we moved to the first store, which was basically a ground floor. It's about the same size ground floor as the shop. In fact, it was just a bit further down the road from where we are now on the Springs. It's number 8 in the Springs. And we got the ground floor. The top floor was hairdressers, and the next floor, the top 2 floors were hairdressers, but we only had the bottom floor. And then after about 2 years, I mean, we signed a 10-year lease on that. But after about 2 years, the shop where we are now became available, and there's an estate agent in town, Lee Carnley, who's a magician, and he sort of tipped us that this shop was for sale and that, you know, we could get a good deal for it because they wanted a quick sale.
Right.
So what we did is we actually bought the shop outright. Well, we've got a mortgage on it, but it's long since paid off. So we bought the shop outright, which is now, as you know, it's on the ground floor. And then we've got two floors. We've got a floor for storage and an office space, and then we've got a floor, a top room, which is a club room. And I think through that we've just sort of developed sort of various strategies to sort of keep us where we want to be. We never sort of had a strategy that said we must have 10 stores and we must be multi-millionaires.
Right.
Sort of gone down the line that, well, Mark's an excellent magician. I'm no bit about magic, more about sort of business side of it, really. So between us, we complemented ourselves really well. So, you know, through a lot of hard work and a lot of effort, we've sort of tried to provide things that people want, as opposed to trying to sell people things they don't want. And I think, you know, there's a lot of, I mean, over the years, just a lot of people that have started up magic shops or magic online things, especially since the internet started.
Yeah.
You know, there's been dealers come and go, that many that's come and gone. Because I think people think, oh, it's easy, we'll buy a few magic tricks at 5, we'll sell them at 10, we'll make a fortune.
Yeah.
It's not how it works. You've got to be passionate about it, and you've got to know what's going to work for people. And because we have been in business so long, I think we know a lot of customers for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And I think they'll trust us, and they'll ring us up and say, oh, I'm doing this show at so-and-so, and I've got to do a show for 20 people, and I've only got 30-degree angle, and what you recommend that we might be able to get, you know. So we're not going to say, there's a 500 quid trick here that's ideal if it ain't ideal.
Yeah.
You know, so we might just say, well, we haven't got anything, you know, rather than sell them something they don't need. We'd rather not sell them it. So
and it's that level of service that's probably kept people coming back for years and years. As you know, I spent a fair amount of time in the shop, not buying anything, as you always.
Well, no, but not. No,
I'll get that in there before you do. But I've seen both you and Mark turn down tons of sales where you could have probably sold something that wasn't the right fit. You know, and there's no guarantee that that'll convert to another sale down the line, but you still keep doing it because I know you guys are passionate about giving the right thing to the right person and you know, so that they can make use of it as opposed to just buy it and never be able to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, say make use of it. And we still sell lots of things to lots of people that will probably go in the bottom drawer and they never use it again. But it would be ideal for them if they wanted to use it. Yeah, you've got a big drawer down, haven't you? Not from us, but you've got a big bottom drawer. Anyway.
So let's talk about specific effects then. Merlins have released well over 50 of their own products, you know, products that have been invented by, you know, yourselves or outside creators and stuff. Tell us a bit about that process then, about getting a trick to the market and finding the right fit so that it, you know, goes to other magicians and sells to other magicians and stuff. I just want to say at this point, by the way, we're recording this at like 7 o'clock at night. I know you're watching it at 10 in the morning. I am drinking a beer, but
no, it's 20 past. It's only 20 past 10. He's got a bit of a problem there, but you don't like to talk about it.
But spend as much time talking to Phil as this, then you need a bit of alcohol.
Yeah. I should have a double, really. But no, magic trick. I mean, the first trick we ever did actually was called Top 10. It was by Ali Bongo, and he was a lovely guy, Ali Bongo. When we first started, we actually asked him what the best thing. If you give us a bit of advice, and this has really been like in the early days. Yeah. And what you want to do is you want to do your own tricks, market your own tricks, and that's where you make your money. And the other big piece of advice was to always stock consumables, things like playing cards, rope, balloons, because he says no matter how many tricks people buy, they'll always need to replace the cards and the rope and the bits and pieces and stuff. So we set up with that, Ali Bongo Top 10, and he gave us a little old trick. I think he'd done it in the 1950s or 60s. He actually gave us one of his original tricks with the instructions, and we marketed that for a while. And that went really well. And then Mark's the main magic man, as you know, and he sort of comes with lots of ideas. But we sort of brainstorm things. But we always look for things that, first of all, 99.9% of the tricks we sell, you buy it and you can do the trick straight out of the box. Yeah, you don't need to go out and buy some glue and some rubber bands and whatever. You don't need to buy, which a lot of tricks these days seem to be encouraging you to do.
Yeah.
The practical, we're not high tech guys. So when we do a video of a trick, we'll just show the trick and that from start to finish, and that's it. We don't have flashing lights. We don't have things because what you see is what you get. I think that is a good selling point, especially these days, because there's a lot of things about in the last sort of 10, 12 years since the internet's really taken off. There's lots of tricks out there that are very, very similar tricks, or the tricks that you can't really do in the real world. And I think we try to make them practical. We try to make them novelty-wise. We try to make them a little bit different to everybody else's. And I think, we get people that as soon as we release a trick, they'll buy it. We get a lot of regular people that they won't even know what it is half the time. They'll just say, "What have you got? Have you brought anything out this month?" We say, "Oh, we've got this." Oh, I'll take those. Don't even have to tell them what they are because they've bought that many in the past.
Yeah.
And to be fair, magic dealers, people think magic dealers are supplying all the top international stars and whatnot, but majority of our customers are hobbyists. The people that just want to show their mates in the pub a trick. They want to show the family a trick at the birthday party or the barbecue or something like that.
Yeah.
People, the professionals, they have their own set routines. They're not going to change the stuff regularly. Like I said, they might want some rope now and again, might want some cards, but they're not going to buy a trick that we've invented just to put into that unless it sort of fits in with the rest of the act.
Yeah. And so sticking with tricks then, I'm just literally thinking off the top of my head, I'm thinking Steve Cook, Wayne Dobson, Al Smith, Paul Gordon. So I'm sure you can name many others that you've released effects of theirs. Tell us a little bit about that, about going to them or them coming to you, and also what are you looking for? Because I'm sure for every one you do release, there's 4 or 5 that you say no to. So what is it? Are you looking for the same set of standards, for tricks that are from other people, or are you looking for different things?
Yeah, I think we're not really men looking for the same things, but things that we thought, I wish we'd have thought of that. And and all those people you just mentioned, they're all people that we've got on with over the years. We've got on really well with them, and we might see a trick somewhere and think, oh, that's nice. Such as the Paul Gordon trick that we've put out not long since. That came in a second-hand lot that we had from someone, and we'd never seen it before. We looked at it, thought, that's a great trick, that.
Yeah.
And something that Paul had put in one of his books, Donkey Jiggle, and somebody had made it up, so I don't think he'd actually ever released it.
Right, okay.
So I just rang him up and said, I've got this trick, Paul. And it was a couple of years ago, that, because the other thing is what people think, that if you bring out a magic trick, you're going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
It's not a big money earner bringing out a magic trick. Right. It's not confidential, but what Paul wanted was, he said if you give him a lecture at our dealer day and a stand, and half a dozen other tricks, he'd be happy with that.
Right.
And then we released that trick on that basis, and we did all the artwork and all the donkey work and everything. He didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
He came up to do our magic day, and he was over the moon with that. So, the Steve Cook, we bought 10 tricks off him a lot of years ago. I think one guy came to the shop. He showed us a load. He showed us about 30 or 40 different tricks.
Yeah.
10 out of them, paid him a fee that we agreed to market those, and they're all really nice effects.
Yeah. And so we're going to start looking to the future and present day and the future. Are Merlin still looking to market tricks from other people? Is there still an opportunity to do that? What do you think specifically, before we go on to the wider future? Let's talk about the present day and the next 5 years for Merlins. I know it's a bit of an adage in business. Where are you going to be in 5 years? But what's the plan?
Well, like I said, recently we actually launched a couple of new tricks from Tony Gardner, who's a magician that comes in the shop, and he's not been doing. He's only been magic for a couple of years. And he's got a couple of Rubik tricks. I don't know if you've seen the Rubik Rumba and the Rubik Surprise. That trick. So he just came in again. So we are still on the lookout for anything that looks unusual, anything that we think might appeal to people. And the big thing is like the value for money, really, as well. We like it to be a value for money trick. You see so many modern tricks these days that you pay £25 and it'll be like a card that's cut in half or something, and it's the routine you're getting. But we like to supply something that you're going to get with it.
Yeah.
But thinking over the next sort of 4 or 5 years, actually the idea was that I was going to retire shortly, and Kim was going to sort of join in with Mark, and we're going to take the business forward, whichever way they wanted. Because Mark's, I know it's hard to believe, but he's about 15 years younger than me.
No, it's not. It's not difficult to believe. It's difficult to believe that he's only 15 years younger than you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if it were 25 or 35, that wouldn't be
I think
difficult.
that's been a bit mean on Mark, I think. But I think that's 2-1 down.
But yeah,
so
the point about that, Mark's got a long career left in Magic, and obviously lots to give to it, with so much knowledge and expertise that's probably still untapped. I mean, he's my go-to guy if I want any information or advice on Magic and stuff. And those characters are rare in Magic, specifically ones that own a Magic shop as well. There's not many that are that are as experienced as Mark at the age that he's at, really, wealth of experience. And do you think that it's going to change then? Obviously, you've got a very core set of values. You don't stock everything. Without getting too much into it, you're not one of the dealers that just puts everything from any company on there and sees whether they can sell some. It's all vetted, and everything that goes on there. Is that? Do you reckon that'll remain?
Well, I think it will, because I think, like, say, 95% of what we have in stock. We don't have it. We've all, and that's what I say, because we're not as technical as some of the other people that can link to these big wholesalers and have everything on the website, and you order it from them. It takes a week to get. We like to post the stuff out on the day you order it. If we have it, if we don't have it, we tell you we haven't got it. So that's how we've always done. I can see that philosophy going on, but it really just does depend on especially at the moment, on the climate, because we're looking to open up the shop again in a couple of weeks' time. I think from June the 1st we can open. So we're looking at putting in place some of the the protection stuff for people. But it's just whether or not people are going to be coming out again in the numbers that they had before. I mean, I think the high street is might be a lot different to what it looked like before. And it could be that we have been bricks and mortar for 25 years, but who knows how long we'll carry on being a brick and mortar shop. It's very difficult to say what's going to happen at the moment for the next sort of few years.
Well, let's hope that's not true, because I like to have a cup of tea when I come to Wakefield. So.
Yeah. I always make you a drink, Darren, when you come in.
Well, you see by the earlier video what I think to that.
Yeah.
Listen, I've got 3 questions left before we finish.
All right.
Question 1: why have you stayed in business for 25 years? What do you think the secret is? Because there's not many that have done that in any business, but certainly in our industry. What's made you last that long? Quarter of a century now.
I think, like you say, I think we've touched on it, but we are both very passionate about Magic, Mark and myself, and I think you have to have that passion. It's not a sort of business that you can go into half-heartedly. It's not, I mean, a lot of businesses you could go, like, I don't know, if you're a shoe salesman, you could buy some shoes, you could put them in a shop, you could open it, and you might be able to sell shoes even though you weren't interested in shoes. A lot of businesses would be like that, but I think because we are so passionate about it, and because I think we have done the groundwork as well years ago. I mean, obviously we don't do a lot of performing these days, but we have been in the position, and we do know when somebody says, "Oh, I need a trick that I can do with 2 people at a wedding or something," we know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think we've got that experience between us, and I think we just do try and treat people right. We are decent enough guys. We're not, like I say, we're not trying to become multimillionaires by selling stuff overpriced or by selling stuff that's not going to work.
Yeah.
I think we've got a big following of people. I think we're one of the only people that sends out actual printed flyers these days. I can't think of anybody else that does that. We've done that for 25 years. We still do that every 2 months. We still get a lot of customers that are ringing up as soon as they get the flyer and, "Oh, great, I've got your flyer through the post. And can I have this, that, and this?"
Yeah.
So it's not just an online thing. We do speak to a lot of people on the phone, and I think we do try to source things that aren't in the domain of all the other suppliers. So, like we have such as like Magic Wagon, which is a company from Thailand which does specialist wooden props. We've got 3D Magic, which is one of the only magic companies that print props in 3D. We use Viking and Collectors Workshop as well, which are quite a limited companies. So we try to get quality items, Alan Warner things we have as well. So things like that, I think, are well set us apart from your regular dealers who, like I say, a lot of them There is still a few dealers that do nice things as well, but a lot of them are they're just the same. You know, you go online, and I think a lot of people just go online and look to see the cheapest one and buy it from them.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot. I think they have a good loyal customer base, which has looked after us, and we've looked after them. So
yeah. So my second of the three questions then.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what is Mark's best quality?
Mark's best quality. That's a good question. Yeah. I think it's just his knowledge base. It's just the fact that he's so knowledgeable about magic. I mean, he's a bit of a geek, to be honest. Somebody will ring up. I mean, there's lots of people that have been in magic for a lot more years than us who will ring us up and ask, "Oh, can I speak to Mark?" And they'll say, I can hear him on the phone, and they'll say, "Oh, that's 1942. I think it was done by so and so, so and so." And I think he only did 10 copies of that. And it's like, puts the phone down, knows that some guy that is really a really famous, magician that knows a lot about the history of magic, and it's just really off the top of his head. But I think it's because he's been doing it since he was 5 or 6 years old. He's just got the passion for that, and I think that is another reason why I was still being here for 25 years. I think if I'd have set up a magic shop on my own, I wouldn't have lasted 25 years.
I'm sure he would say the same, though, to be fair.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, he'd still be in his back room making ingenious magic props. But,
yeah, it could be, yeah.
Yeah. And my last question then is about more specifically your friend Dynamo. I always joke about that you mention him on every advert and promo and stuff and that, but I'm sure he's one of the people that you just mentioned when you talk about dipping into Mark's encyclopedic knowledge and stuff. You've always had a good relationship with him. He's always been a good friend of yours and Mark's and of the shop. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why he still remains good friends and still always calls in and catches up with you when he can?
I think he's just a down-to-earth guy. Steve is what we always call him whenever he rings up. Oh, it's Steve. I don't know if he calls him Dynamo, but again, he started coming in when we were in the market upstairs when he was about 10 or 11 years old with his grandma. He used to come in regular on a Saturday, and he used to be buying. But he used to be absolutely fanatical even then. Even when he was a kid, he had a pack of cards in his hand all the time doing stuff. I think he just had that determination and that drive to get where he wanted to go. I always remember. So we used to do conventions. We did the IBM convention once in Eastbourne, and we were in the shop. And so we always used to hire a van, pack all the stuff up in the van the day before we were going, and then go down. And we were packing all the stuff up in the van. There's knock on the door, get to the front of the door, and it was Steve down at the front door. "Oh, are you going to Eastbourne? Yeah. Oh, can you give me a lift?" So it was a van. The front of it was full, but Nathan, Nat.
Yeah.
Mark's stepson, he was going with us as well to help us on the stall. So him and Dynamo got into the back of the van after we packed everything in, took the doors, drove down to Eastbourne for 4 hours, opened the door when we got there, and they're still there showing card tricks. So it's like, it was like that. And we've known him since, and we've looked after him, and he's looked after us, and he still calls in, like you say, when he's back in this area. I mean, he's lived in London now for a lot of years, but I can remember when nobody wanted to talk to him when he was a kid. Nobody wanted to talk to him even before he started on the TV thing. And now everybody wants to talk to him, but we've always talked to him. And I think he'll always talk to us because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a good story. Well, thanks for that, Phil. I really enjoyed that. I've learned a few things that I didn't know there, so I'm sure everybody that's watching will learn a few things as well. So thanks for taking the time to do that, and we've got loads of stuff coming up throughout the day, so do watch that. Let us know what you think. If you've enjoyed stuff, post some comments below the videos and the links and stuff. Get your answers into the quiz questions, and we'll see you all throughout the rest of the day at the virtual Magic Festival.
You will. And Mark and myself will be on later on to announce the quiz winners, so we'll be on at 6:00ish to let you know who's won.
Perfect. See you soon, Phil. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan.
Bye.